What is going on, everyone? Today, I'm sending a great review to you all today. And for those who have not noticed or have not noticed already, that I visited Six Flags New England, a park that I visited back in 2013 when my channel was in its early ages. This park was a great park, but the only amazing ride that still remains in my top 5 to this day is Bizarro, nowadays called Superman the Ride, and I got a chance to experience it, by the way. I will be talking about it in my Six Flags New England trip report that I will be doing in the upcoming videos, upcoming couple of days, because I probably won't have a chance to do it today. But this review I had a chance to do this morning, because it is morning outside. You can maybe kind of hear it's very quiet in my surroundings, and I even sound a little bit more quiet than I normally do, and this comes in hyped ways. But Wicked Cyclone was a fantastic RMC roller coaster. It was the second RMC hybrid that I've ridden, so what are my thoughts on it? Stay tuned. First up is the height, and Wicked Cyclone is not a tall roller coaster, because the original Cyclone was not a tall roller coaster. Wicked Cyclone is about 100 feet tall, so it'll be getting a 5, so it's right on the average mark about. It is a short roller coaster in height, but this is a roller coaster that, of how good it is, you can't look at its height, because this roller coaster, what it provides, you basically just blow the height out of the water. All the elements really make up for the height. Now the speed, and Wicked Cyclone, once again, this ride only goes 55 miles per hour. It's going to be getting a 5.5. Because the thing is, this roller coaster is so good with elements that the speed you don't even have to pay attention to. Because even with the speed, it flies through the elements. It's a great roller coaster, even with the speed. Now the drop. Now this roller coaster has a steep drop at about 78 degrees, but it isn't a big drop, so you don't really feel it as what you're supposed to with a lot of steeper drops. So this ride's drop is going to be getting an 8. It definitely isn't the best drop of roller coasters, but it's still an awesome drop, especially in the back seat. You get airtime on the drop, actually. It's a great drop, and it definitely isn't a bad drop, but it just isn't a perfect drop, because it's a smaller drop, so you don't get the chance to experience that huge steep drop like you would get on like El Toro, or like Lightning Rod, or like one of those RMC like related roller coasters, although El Toro's by Intamin, but RMC helps make it, but whatever. So now the duration, and Wicked Cyclone is about, I believe, a minute 40. I don't really pay attention to the duration of this ride, but I'm gonna try and give it around a 7, because I think it is a little bit more than a minute 40. So it's still a duration that's really good, so I think I will be giving it at least a 7. Because this ride, I timed it, it was probably around a minute 40. The lift hill had it on like about 25 or 30 seconds. But the ride itself still lasted, after the drop, still lasted about, I would have to say after that, even about over a bit of a minute. So it was probably a minute 40 of a ride. So this ride's duration is great, and with what it packs in makes it all the more better. Now the airtime, and this ride has a very strong airtime-packed thrill. This ride is going to be getting a 9 for airtime. It has great ejector air, and it has some great amounts of moments of airtime too. Now, the reason why it isn't getting a perfect score, because it didn't have strongest airtime as to opposed to some other airtime packed roller coasters that I've even been on, but it still has great airtime. Well, maybe it was just my experience. In the back, though, you get all the more better airtime, and that you could just give it a 10 for. Now the intensity, and this is probably the strongest part of Wicked Cyclone. Wicked Cyclone is going to be getting a 10 for intensity. This is the most intense, or one of the most intense steel roller coasters, I should say. Out of the two, it is the most intense of the two RMC hybrids, this and Twisted Colossus. This throws Twisted Colossus out of the water in intensity. And it is just a very intense roller coaster. Considerably, it's a steel roller coaster. I would have to say that it may just be in my top 5 most intense steel roller coasters. It is a crazy, crazy roller coaster. And if you like intense, this would kind of end up maybe in your top 3 roller coasters of all time. It's that intense. It's so cool. Now the inversions, and since this roller coaster has inversions, I am going to be throwing in this category. So it has a 0G roll right against the under the drop. Then it has another one against that under that other 0G roll. Then it has a 200-degree stall. And these inversions are awesome, as they just travel through the framing. And then they have just like all those really cool moments where the inversions just go through the framing. I'm going to be giving inversions a 10. Great inversions. Nothing to complain about with these inversions. They're awesome inversions. Now the restraints, and these are your average RMC lap bar restraints like I found in like Lightning Rod, even Twisted Colossus, Goliath at Great America. This roller coaster's restraints are fine. They aren't the top restraints that I have. That goes to clamshell restraints, like I've mentioned multiple times. But they are still going to be getting 9 for restraints because they aren't uncomfortable restraints whatsoever. They are comfortable restraints, and they are still great restraints. They definitely don't hurt. But this really depends on your experience because they do have the ability to push these down really far down to your crotch area. But either way, let's keep going on with the theming. And this roller coaster doesn't have bad theming necessarily. During the ride, you have no theming whatsoever. In the station, you have theming. Outside, you have those noises of like the cyclone coming around with the hurricane and the news report. It really isn't bad theming. I'm probably going to be giving it a 2. Not bad theming, but it's Six Flags. You can't expect Disney, Busch Gardens, Universal theming. Like, come on. By the way, now it's time for the overall score. And this ride is going to be getting a 10. This ride, if you ask me, blows Twisted Colossus out of the water. Sorry to say, Six Flags Magic Mountain fanboys, but this ride really dominates Twisted Colossus, or at least from my experience. This ride has some of the best elements of any RMC, if you ask me. And Lightning Rod, this ride is right up there with like Lightning Rod and El Toro, if you ask me. I don't know if this ride is the best in the park with Bizarro and Superman the Ride, but I didn't say that it was better than Lightning Rod or El Toro, but I'm saying it's up there. So it's still a fantastic ride. I highly recommend it if you go to Six Flags New England. You have to ride this roller coaster. And like I said, I will be making a full trip report of Six Flags New England when I get the chance to. Probably will be this weekend, maybe the beginning of next week. But either way, I hope you all enjoyed. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all next time.